so powerful. But the problem with television is we got so many guys on television who are full of shit. Like, I found out this when I was in Philadelphia. That's how long ago it was. A lot of guys, they're friends of mine. We'd be playing golf, and I say, what are you going to talk about today on the radio? They're like, blah, 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 blah. I says, wait, you going to talk about that? You don't believe that? He says, no, I don't believe that. But, Charles, these fools going to call in and argue with me for 4 hours.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? He said, Charles, we're trying to get viewers. We ain't. And I said, so when I got my job, I said, I want to always be authentic and truthful, because if I say something, I want people to, even if they disagree, because I don't think I'm right all the time, but ain't nobody going to be able to say, Charles said this to get clicks or whatever. I'm never going to do that, especially being a brother, because it's going to be few and far between for us. So we have to really handle our business.
Body work.
Welcome to Body Work. Welcome back. It's Michael Rogers. Welcome to Body Work Boxing. Today, I want to challenge you to actually accept a couple things that I'm going to put out, right? I want to enhance your critical thinking skills, and I want to kind of shed light on something that I've been seeing, to where boxing has a caste system. And when you listen to the rhetoric, the jargon, aka the conversation around the sport of boxing, you can see that very often it gets toxic. What are you talking about, Mike? If you listen, I'm going to tell you, right? There is always this perceived notion when it comes to these promoters, promotional companies, and how they label them, right? And one example is how whenever somebody says anything about the PBC, it's associated with gangbanging. Even amongst your peers. You could be talking about an Earl Spence, you could be talking about a Keith Thurman, you could be talking about Javante, Tank Davis, you could be talking about Jermell Charlo, and it's, here you go, gangbanging for the PBC. Even Benavidez, gangbanging for the PBC, right? And I challenge you to ask yourself, why is gangbanging associated with Al? And I'm going to get to Al, right? But I want to point out this caste system, because on the contrast, whenever you talk about somebody like Turki Al-Sheikh, the great Turki Al-Sheikh, the one who everybody calls your excellency, the one who everybody says, you must bend the knee and kiss the ring, and you must hold hands and walk down, and you got to conform to the sheikh, and he's looked upon as a savior. He's looked upon as having this big bag of money, almost like children, thinking Santa Claus could just present them whatever they want, even when they look and see that their chimney don't even have an house. Yikes. Right? But when you look at these things, you even look at Earn with Hearn and people like Eddie and Matchroom, and people say, go over there to Eddie, he's wonderful, he's gonna do this, and he's associated with being, you earning with him, even though he just got graced by none other than Turki Al-Sheikh. He just got usurped of all of his fighters by Turki Al-Sheikh. It's kind of mixed when it comes down to Oscar. People are divided because they loved him as a fighter. They question some of his decisions as a promoter, especially early on. They also have an affinity, like myself, affinity for guys like Bernard Hopkins, who's like his right-hand man, who's been running the show, right? But even if you were to look at somebody like Turki Al-Sheikh, who's looked at as a savior, he's the freshest on the scene. He's clean. He has a big bag of money. He's almost like how children perceive Santa Claus, whereas they think they can get whatever they want. They can be granted whatever wish. He's like a genie in a lamp. He can do anything. He's Al-Sheikh, right? He's getting fighters paid. And just like in the culture of music and the lyrics, how in the lyrics they say, my car is foreign, my jewelry is foreign, my fashion is foreign, my lady is foreign. It's always a connotation with something being foreign as being perceived as being more valuable, right? And under the guise of saying, I'm just glad these guys is getting paid. But we really don't know what they're getting paid. We know what's being promoted, right? We know what they're saying is being recorded, right? But we don't know who's getting extorted. And we just seen Turkey Al Sheik come out and basically threaten Bivol to say, hey man, you know what's going on. If you gonna go over there, you better stay over there. Like and I was saying that man, the man basically has purchased fighters, right? And he has this veil of this God complex that everybody just bends the knee and kisses the ring to Al Sheik, right? Which is very dangerous. And when you look at Eddie Hearn, they say earn with Hearn, right? But we can look and see some of the moves of where Eddie has acquired talent, in which I think he's done a great job at picking out the elites from America, the US, taking them over there to build his guys. Because I always say, man, you're always going to have your best interest in mind. And in hindsight, a lot of people have seen what happened with Andre, right? How he never got a Triple G, how he never got a Canelo. We was ecstatic for Subriel that he was going to get a deal and, you know, he was going to be able to unify and all that. And really what he did was keep him away and kind of like line him up and position him to where time in his career, have a lackluster performance, get him relieved of his belt, and he never got the opportunity to actually unify. I was leery of that. I've been looking at Tito Mercado, another top talented rising contender under Eddie Hearn, and I'm questioning what's going to be his plan of action. We look at Boots and the 2 fights with Curran and the competition and them not paying and them doing these offers to where it's after the fight, if you know the business, to where those fights couldn't happen. Like burning the reputations of a Charles Conwell or burning the reputation of a Brian Norman. When we all see that it was cannon fodder. But the connotation with Eddie is that you can earn with Hearn. And yeah, you probably will be able to get a bag. Will you fight the top comp? Will that equate to us getting a fight that we really want? Or is he gonna get his money, build his fighter, as soon as you lose or drop the ball, you're off to the side? And there was a reason why I really didn't include Bob in this one, right? It's mixed reviews on Bob. He is somewhere in the caste system, but we all know that they acquire most of the Olympians, a lot of Olympic talent. They do grab and train, and they're tied with ESPN or, you know, things like that, to where they'll build you, they'll get you off and running, they'll get you the starter pack, and then right when your talent and your proven ability starts peaking, if you've done everything you need to do, you can go ahead and take off into another stratosphere, a la Floyd, a la Manny, you know, people like that, like from the past, to where Oscar, they go on to do their own thing and do bigger and better things. Now, when it comes down to Oscar, right, there's kind of mixed reviews on Oscar. They say he's an excellent promoter, but there's always this one caveat. They always attach Oscar to being a great, excellent promoter when you're talking about Latino fighters, right? You can look at as recent as some of the comments made by Earl Spence and what he said about Oscar and how he treats black fighters. You can look at how Blair Flair Cobbs was treated when he was over there. You can look at how Speedy Rashidi Ellis was treated when he was over there. You can look at the fact that when Lamont Roach went pro, he signed the Golden Boy. He's just now getting in the radar of a lot of people, right, that are casual because of his affiliation with the Tank fight, right? And then you look at how careers like Arnold Barbosa and how he keeps getting opportunities. You look at Virgil Ortiz and how he's moved, Ryan, how he's moved, how Canelo was moved. You look at Alexis Rocha and how he was moved. You look at Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez and how he's moved, right? So he's somewhere on that caste system and he's divided a little bit. You know, I had to save the best for last in Al Heyman, right? A guy who's off the radar, hardly ever seen. Seldom people can actually tell you about actually speaking to the man. He just make big fights happen. He make a lot of people money. He manage a lot of these little LLCs and these boxers in their company, and he advises them so that they can have success in and outside the ring. Yet whenever, just like this morning after Keith Thurman won, and people were, talking about the praises of Keith Thurman and celebrating him on his return and the victory and him having a glimpse of one time, people say, oh, you're PBC gangbanging, right? And then some people were saying, oh, we got to see Earl, and oh, you're PBC gangbanging. And I'm like, why is it always gangbanging when it's affiliated with Al Heyman? But when you talk about somebody like Virgil Ortiz over there with Oscar, they don't say you're gangbanging for Golden Boy. Or you talk about somebody like Shakur over there with Matchroom, they don't say you're gangbanging with Matchroom. Or any one of the fighters that Turkey just bought. If you support them and the moves that they make so they can get that fight and get that bag, they don't ever say, oh, now you're gang banging for Turkey. It's only Al Heyman. Yet Al Heyman is actually still breaking the records by the fighters that he is advising, like Tank Davis. You can see what he did with people like Errol Spence. You can see what he did with Keith Thurman. And some of these big names. Even what he's doing currently with David Benavidez. And the fact that people love to ignore this. Canelo Alvarez also said he's the best promoter. Right. He just recently came on and said he was the best promoter. He went on to sign with Turkey for that Turkey bag to go in the Turkey Bowl. But he said Al Heyman was the best promoter. Anyways, I thought I'd put something on your mind, man, and point out this caste system. And hopefully, man, in your dialogue and boxing talk, and your conversation with people and whatever side of promotional or whatever fighter they're rooting for, start paying attention to the jargon and the language and the conversation around boxing. Anyways, thanks for tuning in here with Bodywork Boxing. Well, we don't take things for face value. We do that body work.